have a heart of gold. Don't let them take it from you.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to... That's not how I start this. It is. It is June 24th, 2024, 7:05 p.m. I was fidgeting with things. And you're watching the Dovecote with guests Sylvan Lawrence and oh god, I forgot your last name, Nick. Nicholas. Introduce Ambrose. I'm so sorry. Yeah. Please introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Sylvan. I am the director of Clawhammer Games. I've written some stuff. I wrote Gravemire. I wrote Athenor. I'm around. It's nice to be here. I'm very excited. I really like the Dovecote.
Hell yeah.
Hi, I'm Nicholas, or Nick. I primarily work at Indie Press Revolution, which is a distributor of small press role-playing games, and I write my own games over at the Horned Sphinx, which has a couple things.
Hell yeah. Yeah, it's actually really funny because this is I feel like a theme in this show is like often there's either serendipity or just like everybody knows each other situations in this industry where it's like I knew I knew you from the Possum Creek stuff, right, Sylvan?
Yes.
Yeah, and then Nick, I have to be honest, Nick, like, I did not realize for a while that you were the person I was talking to at IPR. Eventually I was like, wait a second, Omophagic Beast, that's Nick from IPR, which is very funny. But,
It's
yeah.
a different Toad.
It's a different tone, it's a different world.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm very happy to have both of you, and you two are getting ready to launch a really cool looking game, before the flood, and I'd love to give y'all some space to talk about that if you'd like to.
Oh God. Yeah, I mean, I could talk about this game for the next 2 hours, and then you would have to beat me over the head by ending the stream, and we wouldn't even get to talk about anything else. However, I'll keep it a little more brief than that. Um,
Just
Nick
a
and
little.
I, just a little. Nick and I have been working on Before the Flood for it's been a while now. I think we actually started writing it in like early December, which
Hmm.
is kind of wild. Um, it's a 6 player map making RPG, in which each of the 6 players uh has completely different core mechanics and inhabits a totally different role within the game and has different responsibilities in terms of creating the community and the map. Um, by and large, I like to think of Before the Flood as explicitly a game of creation, a game in which you're telling stories that are that are positive or summative or additional or additive. There we go.
Hmm.
I got to the word eventually. Um, and one of the ways that Before the Flood emphasizes that you are creating something and not destroying something is it takes care of the destruction aspect for you. There is an event called the Flood, which will ultimately happen to the world that you are building, but you are not allowed to play through it, and you're not allowed to incorporate the flood into the game in any meaningful way. It's written out. It will happen eventually. You know why it will happen eventually, but it's not a part of the game itself.
Hmm. That I'm definitely. That sounds very cool. Both in its own way, and I think like I'm detecting some traces of the Quiet Year. If I'm not too bold to say.
Yeah. I mean, uh, for me personally, I think the three biggest works that I'm drawing on with it are I mean, a quiet. It's very hard to make a map making RPG without having
Hmm.
some of A Quiet Year's DNA in it. For me, the much more direct inspiration was Caro Cercion's. I'm sorry, did you say Street Magic?
Oh yeah,
Um,
great game.
Fantastic game, brilliant designer. Caro also, just quick shout out. Caro recently released Last Train to Bremen, which is just an
Also, so
absolute
good.
fucking masterpiece. Pardon my language. But it's devastating and beautiful and fantastic. And anyway, so that and then the tone and sense of wonder that Wander Home brings is another big inspiration for me personally.
Hmm.
What about you, Nick?
Yeah, I mean, The Quiet Year for sure. The Quiet Year is one where, like, it's one of the first indie games that I played, so it sort of always runs through everything, in that it sort of rewired. It's one of the games that rewired the way I think about games, so it's sort of in everything that I do. Um, Wander Home for sure as well, and I think, uh, J Dragon's Wizard game,
Hmm. Seven Part Pact.
in the like, yeah, 7 part pact, in the like, I really love this sort of games that are popping up where people are putting as many mechanics as possible in there. We kind of did the like minimal mechanics thing, and now everybody's trying to see how much mechanic we can fit in one game, and the answer
Yes.
is so much.
There's so much space for it. Uh, I've accepted that like Sapphic World, for example, is a crunchy PBTA where you're just going to be reading a move for like a minute or two. um, I I think it's good. I think mechanics are good actually. Uh,
I I I agree. I think now that I'm thinking about it, I
Word.
this had not occurred to me before, but in originally pitching Before the Flood to Nick, when I was like, "Hey, what if what if every player had completely different mechanics?" I was coming like hot off the tail of a playtest I did for CJ Linton's Prince of Nothing Good, which is fantastic. And I don't know how much about it I'm really allowed to say, but it is another game in which all of the mechanics are asymmetrical and every character has their own mechanics and their own resolution effects, and it rocked me to my core. And I was like, that is the kind of game that I want more of.
Yeah, absolutely. I've decided I'm trying a new thing because I've thought about this, and I'm I'm impulsive. I'm writing a reading list in the notes, so I will be marking down names of games that are mentioned on this stream, and where to find them, because I think that would be a good thing to have in the VODs. So keep an eye out for that.
Beautiful.
But yeah, it seems really great. I'm curious. There's some art that is here. Is that from Resale?
Yes, Reese is doing all of the art for it. Those of you who are longtime Sylvan super fans, all two of you, will recognize that Reese did all of the black and white line work art in Gravemire. So the like creepy ass pelican eating a person, the giant spoonbill with human feet, all of the like backer kit reward tier images on the Kickstarter, all of that was Reese's art, and so I'm really excited to have them here again.
Hell yeah. Yeah. I suppose with I would encourage folks to what is the call to action here? Folks should give their email, right? In fact, I'm gonna do that myself because I haven't somehow. Yeah, please sign up, give your email so that you will be contacted when the or not contacted implies that they're gonna like call your phone or something.
I will show up to your doorstep.
I will.
Yeah,
yeah,
they'll be there.
very politely.
Personally, we're splitting up the country.
Yeah. 2 people were asking about you. I their names are Joy and Happiness. They're coming to see you. But yeah, this seems great. Hell yeah.
We launch, just real quick, we launch on July 15th also. So even if you forget to put your email in, if you put it in your Google Calendar, that's our launch date. And it'll go for around a month.
You don't have to remember. Neither does does Sylvan and Nick's email box need to, but your calendar can. Up to you. It's up to you how you want to do this. It's a choose your adventure. Speaking of choosing adventures, is your mic okay, Nick?
Oh no, is it making little noises?
There's a little bit of static.
Could possibly be because my cat has decided to lay on top of the cord.
It's okay. I just wanted to make sure there wasn't any like weren't any more significant issues. That's totally fine.
No, it's just a totally average size, not big cat.
Fair.
Laying on top of the cord.
But yeah, I'd love to talk. Let's talk about games. Let's talk about games that you all are playing and thinking about and rating. Which is to say, please, what games are you two playing and thinking about and reading and would like to talk about?
Nick, you go first.
Oh, me go first? I recently got in the Almanac of Sanguine Paths. Sanguine?
Sanguine.
Sanguine. So none of the things that I said, but
It's okay.
By Roy Montford. It's a journaling game. It's the, I believe, like werewolf version of Dead Letter Society, which is like 1 to 2 player game where you are vampires sending letters back and forth to each other. And yeah, I've just been like, I haven't read it yet, but I've been flipping through it, and the artwork and the layout is so pretty. I'm
Yeah,
so excited about
it looks very pretty. I love a game with tarot mechanics. I love a journaling game with tarot mechanics. I think it's a great resolution system for that.
If you like tarot
Yeah.
mechanics, then you should check out the Wheel Mantle in Before the Flood. I'm going to be doing this every time you mention any sort of resolution mechanic. I promise you that Before the Flood has it.
Jenga.
You've got all of them.
Jenga? Fuck.
Got you. You gotta do 7 now. It's 7 more packed. It's everything's. No.
It's like the thing where everything ends up as a crab. All games end up as 7 per pact.
Yeah, Tarot Jenga is really an intriguing concept that that Lapis Lunaris has introduced. I think that's very funny. Like, the cards are stacked like perpendicular one on over the other, and then you pull one. I feel like there's no structure to that though. Like, if you pull one out, I guess you need to make the cards thick enough. Oh god.
It's funny. I did print an Oracle deck for like a private project a little while ago, and the cards are like, I think there's something like an eighth or a quarter of an inch thick. Like, they're very thick. And I could totally see you making a Jenga tower out of extremely thick cards. Anybody who's ever done a tarot reading knows the pain of trying to pull out one card from a fan. But now imagine pulling it out of a tower. It's deeply anxiety inducing.
Yeah, that's an interesting. The cards are engraved wooden slats. I love wooden slats. That's really fun. Like, I feel like describing anything as like a slat or a slate or a tablet is immediately just gonna make me laugh, because it's like there's a thickness to it that I think is like impractical in a really fun way.
Yeah, just get like some stone tablets, stack those on top of it. I mean, now we're just getting into regular ass Jenga towers again.
Yeah, this is also just some shit they did in the Bible to like determine who would be like beheaded. It's like a long D4
tablet.
like a long D4 with tarot cards on each face. That's beautiful. I love that. Yeah, Sylvan, what are you playing? What are you thinking about? What are you reading? What are you gaming?
So in terms of what I've been playing, I run a weekly Spire RPG campaign, which is great fun. Anybody who hasn't read Grant Howitt's work or Rowan Rook and Deckard's work, Spire is phenomenal. It's a masterpiece. So much fun to run, so much fun to play. I'm really excited about Hollows, which is their new game, which is coming out, which is Souls inspired. Yes, Heart also, Shadow Raven is excellent. I was in a Heart campaign briefly, which was running in tandem with my Spire campaign. That campaign, the Spire campaign, is currently on break though, so I've been running sort of individual games each week. This week I'm going to be running Jeff Stormer's Mission Accomplished, which is one of my personal favorites. It's incredible. I got him to sign my copy at Big Bad Con, and he signed it with take 1 demerit die for defacing the book.
That's awesome.
And then what else have I been reading? I've been rereading Mothership's Core Rules because I've been getting really into the Panic Table, which is an actual play podcast or show, which is excellent. And they actually have invited me to do some writing as a stretch goal for their new campaign, which is called Void Stream, which is a bunch of like diegetic horror resources, video, audio, textual, that you can use as essentially as like campaign prompts to jumpstart your Mothership campaigns. And it's so wickedly cool. And I've been really, really into that. So I've gone down that rabbit hole once again. Every now and again, you got to go down the Mothership rabbit hole, I think. And
oh yeah,
it's that time of year.
Yeah, I've been playing a little bit recently with with Jesselvine, and some other
It's a
folks.
good game.
Yeah, it's good. It's it's definitely it's very intense for me. I think I get very like kind of nervous when I play it, but I mean, it's doing the intended effect.
Yeah.
Yeah, very cool. Uh, we love games. Um, cool.
I also just got my sorry, I almost forgot to mention this. I
No,
just got my
please.
copy of Lost Pages Wolfwald in, which is so painfully up my alley specifically. It's it's an Anglo-Saxon like mythological tabletop role-playing game.
Hmm.
So it's based specifically on like Old English mythology. So as opposed to a game which is set in Anglo-Saxon England, it is set in the like mythologized historical realms that epic poems like Beowulf were set in. And so there are monsters and many different kingdoms and it's ooh it's so good. I'm really excited to crack that one open and really get my paws in there.
Yeah, we had Aaron King on last week, and I believe they also mentioned that game. It seems very cool. Uh, very. It's cool to have a game that just has a fucking map. Like that's great. Um, I'm always here for some just like you gotta have your Saxes and your shield maidens, and I'm just like looking at the. That's awesome. That's good.
It is. Another thing I really like about Wolfwald is the way that they've like printed and distributed it. Like you do have the cloth map, and then
Hmm.
the box set is just 5 different separate zines. So there's no like book that's like the rules manual. It's 5 different zines that they've kind of just stacked and put in the box with the map. So you can split them up in case different people want to reference different things at different times. And it makes enough sense that when I opened the box and like looked through the contents, I got a little bit angry, not with them, but with myself for like never having thought of this as an option.
Mhm.
Um,
So good.
it's so painfully practical.
Why would you think that I would summon Bloodbrick? Sorry. Sometimes bits from like the outside part of my stream, like the non-DOVECOTE part of my streaming thing, invade the main part, and I'm like, in what world would I summon the funny character who talks in a funny voice? Yeah, that's understandable. It should probably be more clear what that does. This is very funny. No, I refunded that. Have your points back. Have your blood bricks back. Do it. Next time I'm not streaming TTRPGs. Yeah. But yeah, those sound awesome. I would love to also talk about games that y'all are working on. Um, are there any things that y'all are working on that's not Before the Flood that you'd like to talk about?
Yeah, I mean, I just finished my. This is so small. I just finished my business card game
Yeah.
because I'm going
It's
to the
not
AL
small.
conference.
It's so good.
It's really cute, yeah. And so I'm praying that these business cards get here before I go to the conference because the idea is the ALA conference for the uninitiated is the American Library Association conference. I'm actually going with IPR, but
Oh hell yeah.
my little business card game is that you're a collector of like strange and esoteric books, and the back half of the business card is just some like bookshelves with books that have blank spines, and the idea is you are only allowed to write on each business card. You're only allowed to write the title of one book, and so on your own you can write the title of a book, and then you have to find other book collectors and then you add a book to their collection and they add a book to your collection. So it's almost like a dance card you're trying to fill out while you're at the conference.
Hell yeah. Love that.
Yeah, so I've been working on that. Before the Flood is pretty all-consuming, though. I won't lie.
Sure.
I've been sneaking in. I've been working on what I'm calling Unmade Game, which is I don't know how family friendly I have to be.
No,
Unmade
please.
Game is like it's like, what if you did like open heart surgery but sexual style? You got like sexual and fun about it.
That sounds awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I love
It's
that.
definitely lyric game territory, which I love to play around in. But yeah,
I think it's the games have to get more wet in like multiple ways. I think like
real.
these games are parched. The fluid intake is low. Like more blood,
Mhm.
more blood, more semen.
More blood, more saliva, and if you like wet games,
Hmm.
there's a one with a flood in it that I've heard about.
Yo, holy shit! Tell me about this one.
Well, it's actually funny because the flood is not in it.
It doesn't
You're
feature.
not allowed to do the part where you pour water on your dining room table. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not allowed. I'm not joking, by the way. That is part of the Flood.
Oh, that's
thing,
funny.
if I remember correctly.
That's
Yeah, the
great.
ritual of the Flood is like a deeply destructive ritual to like what you've created. It's kind of the point. Is because again, you're not allowed to play it. It's a more of an exercise of the mind. But the first steps of the ritual are you fill a basin of water up, and then you mix a full pound of soil into the water to create like a muddy
It's so good.
sludge slurry. And then you pour the contents of that basin over the map that you've drawn.
Well, that's great. I love a sloppy steaks game. That's awesome.
Oh, it gets sloppier. Then there's the fire part, and there's the part where uh where you have to apologize to other people, and the part where you have to write down the one thing that you hoped you'd never have to say to the other players, and then you're never allowed to speak to them again.
That's
Don't
intense.
don't do it.
I love ritualism in games. I think that's a really great direction to go, and it sounds like y'all are leaning hard into that.
Yeah, there's another ritual which you are supposed to do, which is the ritual of taking up the mantles, which are the six different roles in which you are reading aloud sort of an origin story for these mantles of power, and as you do so, you're physically interacting with the objects that each mantle is tied to, in order to decide who gets to wear which mantle for the duration of the game.
Neat. Love that. It's great.
We're
Yeah,
very ritual
ever
guys.
since yes, ever since Gravemire, everybody that talks to me about Gravemire always brings up the ritual to honor death, um, which is like the one real ritual component that there are a couple of others, but it's the one like very obvious ritual component to Gravemire. Um, and knowing that when people read Gravemire, that was the part of the game that really uh, spoke to them, and that people really enjoyed, gave me a lot of confidence to lean into that more with the next big project that I was working on.
Hell yeah.
Mm.
I
I'm
love
just a little freak.
sometimes you gotta be a little freak. It's allowed.
Archive 81 super fan over there.
I just like them. I think they're cool.
Yeah. I think it's good to like I think like artifactism is a really another element of this that I think is really great. Which is like, I think making and destroying a map. I mean, you're not gonna do this, right? Like that's the vibe that I'm getting. But
Yes.
nonetheless, I think like having that implication in the book is really 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 fun.
Yeah, and being forced to imagine a very physical process that involves materials which you are about to become very like intimate with through over the course of the game is in and of itself a destructive process. It's a destructive way to engage with the game. So that even if you're not actually enacting this ritual, you're still imagining what it would be like to do this. The mind is a very powerful thing.
Yeah, like the whole time you're playing the game, you're going to be picturing what you might say to these people. What is the thing that you would say that you don't want to say? What would you apologize for? I think that's really, really great.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Are there any games that are coming out in the future that you're excited about?
Gosh. Hold on, I'm like running over to BackerKit.
I mean, I already mentioned
BackerKit
Void
reminds me
Strain,
of
which is
things.
not necessarily a game, but it's game adjacent. That's the really big one that I'm excited about right now. I'm just kind of covering for Nick. This is by far Nick's Nick's strength.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, there's there's a lot. Um, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Hollows was the other one that I'm really excited about. From Rowan Rook Deckard.
Oh yeah, hang on. That one looks cool. Let me get that in the. Yeah, this one seems neat. I I think I can be earnest about this in a way that will not be overly cruel. I think that I have been waiting to get my hands on Eat the Reich. Because parentheses, this is my opinion. I'm worried that I might not like it. And I've been like really kind of conservative about open like full throatedly like talking about liking like Brooke Deckard Descartes projects because of that. But also I don't know for sure yet. So I've been very quiet. People might have noticed that I've been very quiet and awkward about these products, and that's partially why I have some. These are very personal hangups, to be clear, that I'm still kind of navigating. But they seem like very cool games. Like Hollows looks great.
Yes, I think like not every Rowan Rook Deckard game speaks personally to me in a really strong manner.
Mm-hmm.
I never actually picked up Eat the Rife because it wasn't my jam personally. But when they when they put out a game that hits my niche, it hits it hard, man. And it's I'm excited about this one. The other one is Nest by Gila or Spencer
Oh,
Campbell.
yeah.
Oh
just came
yeah,
out. And it's so good.
looks great. I'd really like to have Spencer on. Spencer was going to be on, and then there were some timing issues with that. But yeah, I'm really Spencer is interesting because I've seen them talk a lot about like potentially not doing any more TTRPGs after a certain point, which I think is an interesting point to be at.
He's already hit the point where he's not writing new systems.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very interesting. Oh yeah, by the way, you should send your questions to darlingdemoneclipse@gmail.com. They can be about TTRPGs, they can be about things you've heard here. They can be about Warframe, although only me and Sylvan will be able to answer those ones.
No, Nick plays Warframe. I just got
Oh shit.
it.
Hell yeah. Yeah, ask us questions about Warframe.
I'm a baby in it though.
Yeah, send questions about TTRPGs, about Warframe to darlingdemoneclipse@gmail.com. I'll tell you my favorite Warframe, but only if you ask in the email.
Hold on, I gotta email you something.
Yeah. Okay, we're about at half hour here. I think that's a great time for us to I gotta have like a phrase, because I do this every time where I'm like, my natural urge is to say, let's get right into the news, because like that's just the way I speak. Like it's not even me like accidentally doing a Keemstar. But I don't. We're going to read and talk about the news now. There's actually quite a bit this week. Some of it's a little repeat-ish, but there are some eternal conversations that I think would be interesting to talk about, and some like contextualization type things. So yeah, I think we can just do these in order. I think these lend themselves well to being done in order. Okay, so this is the last one. Right. Oh god. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I think what we'll do is maybe we'll do 1 and 2 and take a break before 3. You don't want to dox your email? I will not be doxing anyone's email. It will only be for my eyes. That will not appear on... Emails will not appear on screen. So do not worry about that. Okay. So, let me just make sure I have... Ah, right. Yes, okay. Sorry, I'm getting Windows sorted out here. Getting tabs sorted. Okay.
You're good. I definitely have no problems with tabs. Sylvan can attest to this.
Yeah?
Right, Sylvan?
No comment.
God. Alright. So our first story, this is just a nice one. I saw some cool games that were coming out. Oh no, sorry. Aaron King didn't mention Wolfwald. You mentioned Wolfwald to me before the stream.
Yeah.
That's why I had it in my search history. I'm sorry, Aaron King, for accusing you of liking Wolfwald.
Oh no.
Aaron King did actually mention a different, I believe, Finnish, not mythological but historical game. I need like a I need a musical cue when I go to the news. I need a ba 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 like that, you know. Anyways, we're bringing Cordis in, the newsbird. Cordis the newsbird coming in from oh gosh, where is Cordis? What's a like relaxing and like a planetarium. It's just like chilling out, sitting back, eating fruit gushers in a planetarium, laying back in a big comfy chair.
God, I wish that was me.
Yeah. Spacewalk is also good. Very, very similar themes there. So we're gonna talk about some cool games, because I just wanted to like... I wanted to be positive and shout out things that I thought were cool in the TTRPG space. So first of all, I wanted to point out this, which really took me by surprise, and that there's some more attached to it. This is from Prismatic Wasteland, Trouble in Paradisa, which is a mystery TTRPG, murder mystery TTRPG, inspired by the the Lego system, like original 1990s Paradisa theme, which is fantastic. Like, such a cool idea. In fact, it's only $1. I need to buy this, actually, is what I need to do. But yeah, this looks great. I'm very curious about this, and I think that you should get it, because this stuff is cool. I also want to gesture at this, which is the jam this is tied to, which is the Summer LEGO RPG Setting Jam. Those who have been watching my streams for a while know that I am like when I was much younger, I was very, very into Legos, and kind of like redeveloped an attachment to them recently. This looks great. Like, the idea of doing a TTRPG that is set in a Lego theme is so fantastic. I think that their settings that are like so both ubiquitous, but also have some like weird quirks of being made in the '90s that I think, uh, you know, at least the '90s themes that really make this stuff cool. It's running until July 8th, so you only have a couple more days, but I would recommend just keeping an eye out for stuff that's made for this, because, you know, really cool. Yeah, do y'all have any thoughts on this? I kind of ranted. My apologies.
I think Lapis Lunaris actually brought up a really good point in chat, which is the only major flaw that I can see in Lego based RPGs is just that I want to eat them.
Yeah.
Which
Why is that a flaw?
so they tell me on the manuals is not what you're supposed to do with Legos. It's actually kind of explicitly a bad thing to do with Legos, at least from what I understand. But
Yes.
it is so cool. I've actually been talking recently with some friends about the ways that Lego is sort of seeing a revival as an art medium now in a way that reminds me strongly of when I was a kid. And you had like the Lego Master Builders for the first time, which you eat it, yes. And it's very neat. Like not TTRPG, but Pharrell Williams explicitly requested that his new biopic be done by Lego Animation, and the like he didn't do that because he needed to tell his story through Legos. He did it because he wanted to, and because he believed in the medium. And I'm not, like a Pharrell Williams like mega fan or anything, but I did think that was a really cool artistic choice. And seeing this game jam and the games that are coming out of it has gotten me really excited about the potential of this medium again, in a totally new way. So I'm jazzed.
Yeah. A thing that people might not know about me is that I am a like uh what's the name? A Duck Bricks watcher, a frequent Duck Bricks watcher who is a YouTuber who won the last season of US Lego Masters, and is also just like has maybe one of the larger like Lego collections, and I love watching just like really elaborate like mocks, which is like my own creation stuff. Lapis in chat says they want to hear Nick's opinion. My apologies if I'm speaking too much.
No, I think you're good. Yeah, no, I think it's great, and they're very like nostalgic and evocative, and honestly, I've just been sitting here thinking about a Lego a Lego war game, and
That's good.
and how fun it would be to describe like really horrific violence happening to little brick guys.
Yeah. What's great about
It's so
Lego?
good. I was just gonna say, like, it's so good because like Lego, when I was like first getting into like role playing games and started like DMing like Dungeons and Dragons for the first time in high school, and I was a broke ass high school student, I used my like old Lego minifigures on and like structures for like my maps. But what if the game was designed to do that and we didn't just like pull random pieces out of old board games? And it was like, oh, it's so good. I like this.
Yeah, it makes me think about the like Clay D&D that OSR released, or not, TSR released way back in the day. Which was like your characters have attributes based on like what clay stuff, like how many legs and stuff they have. I closed something. I don't know what I just closed.
That's really good.
Yeah. But yeah, I think there's a lot of potential for that, and also they have a built-in grid.
Yes.
Yeah. Really a lot to
Built-in
think about.
grid. You can do fun, like I think there's a lot of fun body horror stuff you can do with things that are not made of meat.
Yeah. People are saying that yes, you should eat the the green ghost, so just keep that in mind.
Okay. Noted.
Yeah. Streets will run red with AVS, exactly. That's advanced building system for those who don't know. But yeah, next is Pray by Letter, which has been released by Maelstrom RPG. This is a Japanese epistolary TTRPG, which seems really interesting. I believe that we might have brought it up. Oh, sorry, what was that?
I was just saying the front cover is gorgeous.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I think it might have been brought up either on the Ira or Duck stream that this was coming out. Yeah, I highly recommend folks give this a look. This is also very cheap. This is only $6. And it seems really neat. And it's like great that through like Maelstrom and some other providers, you know, both directions, you know, Japanese games are able to come to English audiences, and English games are able to go to Japanese audiences. Like, you know, Eyes on the Prize has a really great Japanese version. Yeah, I don't know. What do y'all think?
This is making me. I have a couple of thoughts, but also I talked first last time. So Nick, if you have thoughts, I'm gonna poke around a little bit and see if I can find something.
Oh, sure, yeah. I mean, I love epistolary games. Just as like I have a weird history with RP where I did like no online RP as a youngster. So I'm sort of fascinated with epistolary and like chat RP stuff in that sort of format. And yeah, Japanese games in general because they have a different like culture over there around TTRPGs because it's not necessarily funded off of Dungeons and Dragons. Um, always have really interesting mechanics and takes on things that are fun, and I tend to like them. So this I'm picking it up right now
Hell yeah.
on my browser. So if I sound a little distracted, it's because I'm putting in my payment information.
I am also a like I'm a like person who did a lot of chat RP, but I'm nonetheless fascinated by it because there's like such a vastness of culture that it exists across. So yeah, totally agreed. Yeah.
So I have two things to say. One is I really like the idea of having a correspondence section and a conversation section where you do all of your epistolary stuff and then you actually get to like meet up and reveal different parts of the game to each other. This is making me think about a bit of a white whale of mine personally, which is there is a French epistolary role-playing game called Chrysope, which I have now been trying to find online, and I can't.
Wait, I'm pretty sure I have. Like, there's copies of that at IPR.
Oh
Are
shit!
they the French
It's like
copies?
on the
Because
way.
I cannot find for the life of me
Like
an
French
English
language
translation.
copies?
Yes.
No, yeah, they're English. It's like on the way to Chrysiopea.
I'm gonna lose my mind.
It has like a compass on the cover. We have these. Not to be a little advertisement, but available at Indie Press Revolution, I guess. Also, the English translation's on itch.
Hold on.
If it's the
Yeah.
one I'm thinking of.
Chrysope?
I'm looking because I have a French version which I hand translated, even though I actually only speak Spanish. So yeah, yeah, okay. It's just because the French title and the English title are straight up different and are spelled different, so I never found it. I learned
Crazy.
something new. Anyway, I will be buying this game.
Hell yeah!
And while I have you here, hey Nick, can you bring one to ALA so I can buy it from you?
Yeah, I got you.
Awesome.
I got you. Consider me your personal USPS delivery person. I'll get you on.
I thought I'd have to be like, hey, I'll ask Wendy for a second, but no, no Wendy Ripston moment required. We can simply use the power of IPR's vast library of wonderful games available now. And the last one is Wolfwald, which we already talked about, but seems cool. Glad you got your copy, Sylvan.
There's also a Lasers and Feelings version of the game, so that you can do it at a table with friends instead of writing about it in the epistolary version, which I can link to in the chat here.
Is that Cursopia?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Which is neat. Anyway, yeah, there's Wolfwald. Really cool.
Yeah, Wolfwald. Woo! Clap, clap. Let's talk about. You want to talk about some fucking licensed games?
No, but yes.
Yeah. This is from The Gamer. It's we only got Rascal now. We got Rascal and The Gamer talking about TTRPGs, and like sometimes Polygon. Right. So Planet of the Apes TTRPG. I don't really care about the text of this. I just wanted to point out there's a Planet of the Apes TTRPG. Here's a Might and Magic TTRPG announced. There's the Discworld one. There's the Neopets one. There's the Final Fantasy XIV one, which was already out. They're going hard on these. And something that I noticed that I wanted to like kind of talk about, as I guess just kind of an observation about the way that these have been structured, is like a lot of these are a lot of these licensed games seem to be like from either like in-house, like the Final Fantasy XIV one, or not in-house, but like, you know, actually actually I don't know, is the Final Fantasy XIV one in-house? I should look that up before I say that. Hang on. Who developed that? Let's see. I'm gonna correct myself. Who made this? It seems like it's in-house. Just based on what I'm seeing. Like there's not really a clear sign that it's not. Yeah.
Aren't you going to link all of these to your chat?
You can listen, you can find them. I'm not giving these people free advertising. Tomb Raider, yes, I was gonna mention that. So, and then you have like the like Modiphius and what was the other one that I mentioned in the yeah, games being made like Modiphius, Chaosium, like those sorts of companies. Whoever makes the Cyberpunk ones, you know, they're making a Witcher one too, which I guess has some like CD Projekt Red connections, but that's still, you know, it's still kind of a weird like wishy-washy crossover with a lot of connections, and also like Mike Pondsmith's son is working on that, to my understanding. But like, and then you have the Tomb Raider one, which is Evil Hat. And I just think it's really interesting, like how much variety there is in who's making these, and how they're being distributed, and how they're being advertised, and when they're being advertised. I don't know. I just find myself enchanted by the the slow melodic dance of licensed TTRPGs. I don't know. Do y'all have any thoughts on like the recent kind of influx that we're seeing?
I blame Avatar.
Yeah, I've been saying that. Yeah.
I blame the nearly $10 million Kickstarter that the Avatar Legends TTRPG had.
Yeah.
I blame that particular Kickstarter for a lot, actually. If you can't hear the resentment in my voice there.
What else do you blame it for?
Get controversial, holding the microphone up.
Well, I blame it for being a Kickstarter in the first place when it so clearly did not need to be. And therefore for taking like patronage and eyes and money away from smaller crowdfunding campaigns on the platform that were just absolutely dwarfed and eclipsed by the insane breakaway success of the Avatar game. except it wasn't Insane or Breakaway, because anybody with a brain could have told you that the Avatar tabletop role-playing game fully licensed would have had immense success, given the overlap between people that grew up with Avatar: The Last Airbender and people who like tabletop role-playing games, especially D&D. And that, like, literally anybody that plays D&D and has for the last 10 years watches Avatar: The Last Airbender and goes, man, I wish I could play that. So I don't know. I'm a little salty. I'm also like, I feel like I can safely say that I'm not punching down when I say that I'm not a huge fan of Magpie games, given that they are Titanic and I am one guy sitting in their room. But I just don't like their games that much. Like, I own the Root RPG because Root is one of my favorite board games, and it's fine, but the products that Magpie writes, with the exception of Bluebeard's Bride, are not that compelling to me.
I've heard good things about Passion.
Yeah. Passion, Masks, some of their older stuff, but like,
You have a heart of gold. Don't
I
let
don't
them
know.
take it from you.
And I mean, obviously, the Root RPG is proof that game design is mind control, and that game designers are using ABA to bimbify you. Sorry.
I lose my mind.
Sometimes you have to reference really bad video essays that you've only obliquely referenced on the stream because you need to find someone who will actually sit down and watch all of it with you and do a stream dedicated exclusively to taking it apart. I'll talk about that video one day, but it'll be a more complicated discussion, I think.
Can't wait.
I hope they do it to Pimbify. I mean, one of my games is to Pimbify you. I don't know about, yeah.
Nick, what are your thoughts on the license
project? I mean, licensed games, I think it is definitely a sign of like TTRPGs in general getting popular, because you have these IPs who are willing to license their names out to get TTRPGified. A little while ago, I reached out on behalf of what is it? High Rock Press, which is kind of the publishing arm of IPR, in that it is what some of the people at IPR use to publish their games. And to see about oh no, now I can't remember it. The sci-fi, literally all of it has left my mind. You know the author of or the Earth Siege, the Earth Siege books.
Ursula K. Le Guin?
Yes, the sci-fi stuff that she did. What's that called?
Are you talking about The Left Hand of Darkness?
Yes. Okay. So I emailed.
I got you.
Thank you. To see if that was available for licensing, like a year and a half ago, and it had been snatched up. So I guess look out for that sometime. Haven't seen any news about it, but someone owns the license to make a TTRPG out of it. So it's definitely like, TTRPGs in general have gotten exponentially more popular since like 2019, 2020.
We're getting the Magnus Archives TTRPG and the Silk Versus RPG, and I'm a little surprised that we're not getting an Archive 81 TTRPG yet, but I'm maybe more surprised that Nick hasn't emailed them asking for the license.
Well, Archive 81, for those who don't know, is my favorite podcast of all time. It's a horror podcast that has like deeply influenced me as a person, and I think it is very, very good. I understand why they would be hesitant, because there is a very, very terrible, in my opinion, very, very terrible Netflix quote unquote adaptation of it. and it's like it was so bad. But also, I think Archive 81, not to get into it, but would be really hard to make a TTRPG about, and I have thought about it a lot.
Yeah, what IP would you want if you could, like, but a question to both of you, if you could, like, if they were like, you know, here's this IP, go wild, make whatever type of TTRPG you want with this, what IP would you want?
Man. I'm like, I have one that immediately came to mind, but it's not like it is, once again, it's like not an IP that people are gonna be like, oh my gosh, finally a game of this.
Tell us,
Another
Is it
please.
Leverage?
Leverage has a TTRPG. No. Leverage, it might have started as a TTRPG actually. This is a TV show that I'm also very autistic
Mhm.
about. It's my favorite TV show. Leverage. But yeah, Leverage. It has a TTRPG. It's official, and that's why, like, when you watch Leverage, which is like this heist show, they have very clear delineations of like hitter, hacker, thief, because those are roles in the role playing game that you can play as. Um, but no, it would be the Legend of Eli Monpress.
Fuck yeah.
Which specifically because like I mean, spoilers for the Legend of Eli Monpress. Um, but it's this world where like everything has a spirit, very like sort of Shinto sort of beliefs, I believe, where like everything has a spirit, and the people who are called wizards are the people who can talk to these spirits. But again, spoilers for like the end of it, because this is the part that I'm interested in, is like at the end, events happen and it makes it so that everybody can now talk to these spirits, and there's this very short scene at like the end of the last book where there's a character who he's like having tea and he puts his teacup down too hard and the teacup complains about it, and he's like this in this administrative position where he now has to deal with the fact that like roof tiles want to be put on certain buildings and the cobblestones are complaining about how the wheels are running over them, and that's like that's an insane world, and it doesn't go into it because that's the end of the books now. But to live in this world where like I just imagine like, because it's sort of this medieval, wizards setting, to have like fights from then on where you can like offer the enemy's weapon a better deal and it'll be like, okay, I'm not gonna fight anymore. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's awesome. That fucks.
So that would be the one where I've rotated it in my mind, like making a TTRPG in that setting, but specifically when it gets to the crazy point of like you have to negotiate with your clothes every morning that you want to wear.
That's great.
I have two that I kind of oscillate between. One of them is Jim Butcher's Alera Chronicles, which are a phenomenal epic fantasy series. It's 6 books long. I cannot recommend it highly enough. And it's such a masterclass in world building and magic, and also just like the brutality of medieval combat on a wide scale. But it has the way that magic works in it is that you befriend or make compacts with Furies, who are natural spirits of one of 6 elements: earth, air, fire, water, metal, and wood. And the way that you can manipulate Furies is like very, very interesting. And I have so many thoughts about the way that this would translate into a mechanical setting. I think it'd be really cool. The other would be Scott Westerfeld's Leviathan series, which is a YA series, which is an alternate history of World War One, in which the Allies are called Darwinists, and they do like weird experimental genetic splicing.
Hmm.
And then I guess it wouldn't be the Axis because it's World War One, but the Germans and Ottomans are called the Clankers, and they are like very heavily like gas powered and machine oriented. And the book series is set on the Leviathan, which is a giant whale that has been grown to be an airship and an ecosystem all its own. Um, and there's it really just hits like I want to make a TTRPG about a giant whale ship in which you have like many different weird living creatures that contribute to its ecosystem, and also you are fighting a war which you have no choice about. Um, it just hits. It's juicy, and I would love to see a TTRPG about it, but nobody's ever gonna do it, so I want to. There's actually an anime adaptation of Leviathan, which is coming out in like a year or so, which is crazy because these were books that I read when I was in elementary school. So a little slow on the uptake there, but I'm excited about it nonetheless.
Yeah, that sounds cool. Hell yeah. All right. Let's take a little break. I gotta get some water. How do y'all feel about taking 5?
Sounds good to me.
Sounds good.
Cool.
Mhm.
We'll be back at how far are we into the minute? Okay, well yeah, we'll be back at 14. 014. See y'all in a little bit. Bye. Hello, everybody. We are back. Now, I know the last two stories have been, just dreadful, just miserable. Just, none of you liked it. It was, it's bad. It made you sad, made you unhappy. So I have good news. We're gonna be talking about your favorite game. We're putting, we're putting the AC on. We're putting your favorite tunes on. We're gonna talk about Dungeons and Dragons for a little bit.
Sorry, I can't say that.
Yeah. So two things have happened. One, the postings for the new D&D books have gone up. And two, a lot of information on them has gone up. And the conversation has gone in a variety of directions that I want to explore. We're swimming through the ocean and we're just kind of waiting. We're doing breaststrokes and just kind of exploring the space. That Grums freak, the Gamergate 2 guy, got mad about orcs not being racist enough, so that's fun.
Yeah, and then Wizards of the Coast promptly blocked him because he was trying to harass their PR manager instead of actually contacting anybody through email.
Get fucked, dude. Holy shit. Yeah, I'm glad that guy continues to get owned. I do wish he would shut the fuck up though. And I wish people would stop giving him I'm mentioning him because I'm doing TTRPG stuff and it was a big thing that happened for TTRPGs, but I wish that more broadly people would stop quote tweeting him and showing his actual words. Because I want him to shut the fuck up. I'm done.
Yeah, it's a lot. I also what he was angry about was a redesign of orcs that made them more, in my opinion, more aesthetically interesting. And it's just, I don't know. Do I like D&D? No. Do I like the direction it's going in? I don't know enough to say one way or the other.
It's fine.
But generally speaking, anybody who describes a cultural phenomenon as quote going woke is somebody which I generally tune out almost immediately.
Yeah, no trust for that sort of shit.
If you have more specific language, use it.
Any thoughts, Nick?
Dungeons and Dragons. I mean, I'm in kind of a funny position because, well, I haven't really played it, though I'm about to get into a little campaign of it actually, and sort of see what it's all about because I've never actually gotten into those.
I hope it goes okay. I'm sorry.
I have been in a Pathfinder 1E campaign for the past year and a bit, and it's been, I've been in it for a year and a bit, and so we'll see. I think that largely the fact that it's I was just looking at how much they're asking for all of the new books.
180, yeah.
That's risky. And the fact that they're very proudly being valued at $240. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But I don't really have any. I don't really have any opinions on Dungeons and Dragons besides there's other games to play. I'm sort of playing it because I feel weird about having an opinion on it without having played it because it's such a big monolith in the scene. But there's other stuff going.
Here's the thing that that really gets me though is you brought up the price point, and this is by far one of my biggest, I don't even want to say soapboxes. This is my biggest toadstool to sit upon. In the indie TTRPG industry is people talking about price point as an object when in reality even costly indie TTRPGs. Like there are indie tabletop games which are expensive. Like objectively speaking, many of the print games are pricey, but the production value and the amount of content you get for that price compared to the fact that the base level D&D player's handbook is going to run you what I don't even know how much.
$60, right?
Is it 60 still?
Well, for the new one, yeah, it's like 60
the-
60 for
Yes.
What's crazy to
The
me
new
is
one's
like
60. The old one was list price of 50 and has dropped over time, but like, sorry, Eclipse, I cut you off.
No, you're good.
Go ahead.
It just like I don't understand. There's like nothing in the DMG ever. The advice in there is always like so shitty and like so like fill in the blanks, like so fucking Mad Libs. The DMG and the Monster Manual should really be one book, is my opinion.
I agree.
Just even from like a ergonomical perspective, like I don't want to open another book to go from like magic items to give my players to monsters to throw at my players. Like what are we doing?
Yeah, I also feel like having the DMG and the player's handbook be separate has its own host of problems, both in the alienation of the like DM and the ways in which D&D posits like the DM and the players as being on opposite teams as opposed to separate ends of the same team. And also just like the fact that practically speaking, a whole lot of the stuff that you're going to be using as a dungeon master is in the player's handbook.
Yeah.
So yeah, Shadow Raven, I agree. You can't really fix a broken system, and like there's like the balance, like you can rebalance a system, you can mend a system, but when a system is, I don't know, born a little bit wrong, it's hard to correct that. And with like the D&D 2024, first of all, immensely funny that not all three of the books are coming out this year.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's like the opposite of Cars, where you have like the 2013 car that comes out in 2012. Now we get the 2024 Monster Manual that comes out in 2025. And I don't know, man. It should you be paying $60 for an update of the same system? Maybe. Should you be giving that money to Wizards of the Coast?
No.
I can't stop you, legally speaking. I can't say like absolutely not under no circumstances. That's not something I should say. So I
However, I wrote a note here because there are some changes, but like I do think it's interesting the background stuff has more going on. There's a feat associated with it, but that's just Pathfinder. They just did Pathfinder. I wrote some words. I wrote a sentence here that I think is important for everybody to know that I wrote. I cannot give my audience the false impression that any change to D&D means they should now play it. And that's, I think, my main takeaway on this front. Yeah.
Really good, really important note.
Any last thoughts on this before we hit the mail?
Nick, I'm really excited for you to play D&D for the first time in your life. I think that's going to be fascinating, and I genuinely want you. I can't believe I'm saying this. I genuinely want you. I would love for you to go into it with an open mind and an open heart.
That is my goal. It's been so because as the person who's a friend, it's Morgan, you know, Sylvan, has been like explaining to me the premise of the game that they've invited me to. The whole time I've been like, that sounds a lot like these indie TTRPGs that I know. but I'm putting that in my pocket, and I'll just forget about that. And yeah, sounds really cool.
Can I say something?
Yeah, I'm not going to recommend all of these games that might do this thing.
Every time this specific person in our friend group has conversations with me about their new D&D campaigns, I do the same thing.
I know.
I've done it probably upwards of half a dozen times, and it goes back to the same sort of like Dungeons and Dragons brain rot that fandom suffers from all the time. It's the tweet that I made, like the one viral tweet that I've ever made, the one that ended up getting me doxxed by an amateur hentai artist who tried to post, my actual like mailing address, but at the time I was literally living in another country and it had no effect whatsoever.
What? What?
Yeah,
what the fuck?
and that was because let's make sure that I get this right here. Because I used the phrase D&D apologists. The tweet was D&D apologists will see any TTRPG pitch and go, how can I cram this into Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition in the most convoluted and disfiguring manner possible, and then tweet about how it's just like D&D, you guys.
Wait, do you have this? Can you send this to me?
This tweet? Yeah. I
Yeah.
can link you. I'll just put it in the group chat we have.
You used the term D&D apologist and they got mad at you.
Yeah.
Here, I'll show.
I can't believe you got doxxed.
That's crazy. That's crazy. We live in a beautiful world full of unique characters, and
yeah, the real fun one is all of the quote tweets are just incredible.
Yeah, I will not be looking at those on stream because
No, you shouldn't. But they're incredible. And let me say, they've aged like milk. Like fine milk. And a lot of them are actually quite supportive now because I think most of them have gotten taken down. But yeah. It's a whole thing. Anyway, mailbox.
Yeah, let's look at the mail. Let's bring in Apocrypha the Mailbird, who you might have seen hovering around, because sometimes I sometimes I make them flutter. There we go. Yeah. So we have, as always, VIP question asker, aka Skibbity Wop and Dada, aka Goblins, has sent a variety of beautiful, beautiful questions. Technically 8, although I'm gonna answer the last 3 really quickly first. Question 6 is, can I draw Anthrayali of the birds? Yes. Question 7, can it be explicit? Yes. Would you want me to email it to you if you draw it? Either email it to me or put in the NSFW in either of my servers. Or send it to me direct. Really up to you how you want to do that. Or post it on Twitter. Whatever, at me. Literally any, all, none, one, however you'd like to share it. I'd love to see it. The actual questions, however, from Goblins.
That was an actual question.
Yeah,
well,
those
yeah,
are important.
that's true. The questions that that Sylvan and Nick can answer. I think we're gonna jump around a little bit because one of them is for me, and I don't want to start on that. Although, y'all might have thoughts on this. I'll send it. Eclipse, you professed your love for Gonzo settings in TTRPGs, and I'd love to inquire what you think is a quintessential example of a Gonzo setting in TTRPGs or any media. I would start with like Aaron King's Patchwork World for TTRPGs, or Isabe's Bed and Breakfast, I think is a good example. And then for outside media, I would start with like Adventure Time, and like What I'm trying to think of a video game that's leaned into gonzoism. Yeah, I don't know. Do y'all have any thoughts?
Definitely.
I was gonna say Mortborg on the other end of the Gonzo spectrum. Call me crazy though.
Yeah, that's a good poll. I like that. I have not played in Mortboard yet, but it seems great.
It's a shockingly good time and extremely easy to run.
Hell yeah. I want to see the bird, Yowie. Nick, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, there's like Troika, which is sort of Patchwork World-esque, and
The
then
Pawn
there's
Pisser.
also yeah, Into the Odd, or yeah, Into the Odd is the original, and then Electric Bastion Land is like the urban city version of it, I believe, which are also very they just make good uses, like the randomness that comes from using dice in a TTRPG and using that in the setting in a good way.
Can I say something without you guys getting mad at me?
Yeah?
I've thought of the most Gonzo video game maybe of all time.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm shocked that I didn't think of it earlier. It's Fortnite. 100%.
You're so right, though. You're so right.
Fortnite. Fortnite, I've always said that Fortnite is like the logical conclusion to the raw concept of video game.
Yeah, true.
It's just so Gonzo. And for TV shows, Riverdale.
Oh,
God.
Which I could talk about for ages.
I think Pathfinder actually has some like pretty interesting like. I think it has some Gonzo philosophy in its blood. I think it's like
philosophy.
Yeah, like if you look at like Numeria, like the presence of just like, oh yeah, over here there's just like alien technology. There's just like robots and laser guns and shit. I think that's great. I think more of the setting should be like afflicted by that in like subtle ways, but I think it's good that that's a thing.
Sorry, that's in Pathfinder?
Yeah, there's a whole area in Pathfinder. Actually, Wrath of the Righteous, the CRPG, takes place like a couple weeks north of that area. So like there are a couple dungeons in Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous where you're just fighting like cyborgs. It's awesome. It's so good. And like cyborg demons.
Making a note.
Yeah.
Your GM has been keeping the cool stuff for me.
Yeah, get your Pathfinder GM to give you a laser gun, please. Awesome.
Fuck yeah.
It's like how like way off in the corner of D&D Spelljammer, you get the like hippos with shotguns.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's pretty good.
But you don't get them in core D&D at all. And like, come on, man. You could have made your game interesting. Also goblins, Riverdale TTRPG. I'm adding a third, making a note here, adding a third IP to my license. Because I want to be clear, not Archie comic TTRPG, specifically Riverdale. I want them to have superpowers, like shitty ones.
Good. One thing that I'm pretty proud of that I did with Sapphic World for like the Gonzoism element is that like I think the fact that it is a game that is so much about like relationships and like intimacy means that like I think a good example is one of the major like pagans is the Tendril Blob, who lives in Freefall Keep, a just like kind of decrepit old castle that a bunch of pagans are living in and like doing rituals and hanging out in. And that's like maybe one of the first characters you'll meet, potentially, depending on where you start. And the Tendril Blob is dating the Cosmic Robo Bitch, who's from space. And like the Cosmic Robo Bitch has a bunch of relationships with other characters who are from space, and I feel like that sort of like relational stuff is really important for like integrating more like Gonzoist and kind of Gonzoist and like out there and like cross genre ideas.
good. Sapphic World's so good, by the way. I don't know if
Thank
anyone ever
you.
told you this. Sapphic World is so good.
I'm glad you
It's
like it,
so good.
Miles. Do I want to do this one? Ba-ba-ba. We're a little low on time, so I'm actually gonna save some. Just because I wanna stick to just the hard hitters. I gotta make this a comment. What I do is I put questions that I don't use as comments in my calendar doc for the streams. Okay. So oh, this is a fun one. I like this one. I recently had the idea of writing an expansion for a random out-of-print / old RPG, just for fun, and I was wondering how you would go about that idea. Do you think this would be a fun exercise, perhaps not worth the effort? That sounds really cool to me.
Not worth the effort. No such thing. Especially when it comes to a creative endeavor or writing of any kind. Doing it is always better than not doing it. Send tweet.
Yeah.
And there's really cool out of print old TTRPGs out there, like the Leverage TTRPG.
Oh my god.
So true.
Which is fully out of print.
Yeah. You should do it. You should explore like concepts, I think.
Would be an incredibly cool game jam as well.
Yeah. I mean, they've done like I've seen game jams and I've seen games that are like expansions or supplements for games that have never existed. They just did it for old games. Maybe
Yeah.
for the what was it? The like violence TTRPG that was just fully satirical of D&D culture at the time.
Oh yeah, Aaron was talking about that last week. That one sounds sick. Yeah, cool. Next question is about kink. I'm sure you've seen at least a few memes about fetish world building that takes its premise so seriously that it slowly becomes a sci-fi epic that just happens to include lots of spanking. I was wondering if you'd seen this in TTRPGs, and if you'd seen any that are actually entertaining. We all know that the Drow's matriarchal society is a poor version of this, but I'd like to see if there's any you found that are good.
Well, so there's this game called Sapphic World. I'm kidding.
See, the thing there is it's intentional.
Right.
I mean, is any of this not intentional?
That's what I want to kind of dig into is it that it takes its premise so seriously that it just happens to have kink in it, or is it that the world building and the kink are both integral to each other? Because a lot of the world building, at least that I've seen, is the kink never ends up being sort of tangential or vestigial. It always ends up being fairly central.
Yeah. I do kind of get what they mean though. Like I think there is a degree to which like you can start by being like, I'm going to do. Oh, did I go to spam? Oh, here we go. Okay. Awesome, I got it. That's a good question. Okay.
I hope my dad is enjoying this segment.
Hell yeah. Awesome. Yeah, I think like there's the classic. There's the piss wizard, right? There's the magical realm, which is like, well, I guess there are many like versions of this. I feel like there's the you are an innocent being and you accidentally did like mind control fic because you were like the enchanting sorcerer is using his spells and it's accidentally hot, right? Then there's the like I'm making a thing just to get off, and then eventually I get so invested in the characters and setting that I get really like into it. That's what Sapphic World was. I started out making basically just like a fetish PBTA, and then started thinking about women like missing each other, and a lot happened from there.
Say no more.
Yeah.
I think a lot of games come out of the sentence of I was making something for X, Y, and Z reason, and then I started thinking about women.
Yeah, absolutely. And what was the third one? I had a third. Uh, what was the third starting point? Oh, it's the piss wizard. It is you were trying to obscure the fact that you are getting off on the thing that you're making from the people who are consuming it. Um, uh, uh, and it's not working. Generally, is the thing there. Like, no one is fooled by your demons who are powered by getting smacked on the ass. Like, no one is being fooled by that, buddy. Sorry.
Nobody is fooled by the wizard robes when the wizard is being peed on.
Yeah, exactly. How do I unspam message? How do I make Google not... Here we go, not spam. Okay, good. For some reason, Luna's message came in as spam, which is very sad. I got it, though. And then last question from Goblins. What's an idea you've had or have seen that you want to make an entire RPG out of, around it, but it just hasn't materialized? What inspired this idea? What, other than time, has kept this idea from being what you hope it could be?
I can pull up the game ideas Word doc.
So
that
let
it
me
just has
unroll
like
my vellum scroll here.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's like I have a lot of ideas that I sort of hope to get to someday. The one I've been chewing on a lot recently is this. So I live in the desert.
Mm.
I live in not just in like the desert. I live in the middle of nowhere. The next nearest town, the closest grocery store to my house is 100 miles away. I am out here. And specifically, I live in the Black Rock Desert, which is next to this thing called the Playa, which is full of this dust that is very what's that? The opposite of acidic.
Basic.
Can't remember. Yeah, um, alkaline, and so it's like very terrible to be in, essentially. But I was thinking of this game where you are um like essentially whalers, but rather than in a big ship, you're in a big truck. And instead of being in the ocean, you're in the desert. And instead of hunting alive whales, you are hunting the ghosts of the whales that used to live here before all the water got drained away or gone. And it's it's just such a like wild living condition to be out on the playa because this dust is so fine and it gets everywhere and you have to like wash it off with vinegar before taking an actual shower, otherwise it'll dry your skin out so bad
Ugh.
that you get like these horrible cracks and stuff. um but yeah, and thinking about this a lot, but it's also feels like such a like, capital P like project. Like this is like a game that would be big, and I like my little zines or little itch projects. That like the idea of dedicating that much time and effort to something is like scary.
Yeah. That's real.
Funny duck username that you mentioned, Ghost Moby Dick. Given that Nick is currently reading Moby Dick for the first time right now. Nick and I have a book
Yeah.
club that we run together, and we did sort of set the entire thing up as an elaborate scheme. So like rope as many of our friends as possible into reading Moby Dick together. So we read a couple of other books first, and that we post like a poll every month of like which of these four novels shall we read next. And when we posted the poll, it was just all Moby Dick. Um, and I've read it before a couple of times. It's one of my favorite novels ever. Um, and uh, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure, some inspiration there. Hell Whalers is great though, for sure.
Yeah, I think the Whalers is like the Moby Dick TTRPG.
It's so good.
I mean, take that, put it in the desert.
My white whale.
Yeah, I was gonna
Um,
say.
my white whale of a TTRPG is I have a couple. There's a Belonging Outside Belonging legacy game that I've had playtest materials for years and slowly chip away at, but it requires such a volume of content that it's very difficult to find the motivation to stitch it all together. And it's about a small town, a small lake town in Minnesota, uh, in which overnight all of the adults uh, and all of the children under the age of 10 disappear, leaving only essentially only middle and high schoolers around. And then monsters begin to creep in towards the town. And the most monstrous thing about the game primarily is what teenagers do when they have no supervision. And no bedtime and no school and yeah, like no structure basically. And so it's the game is called Outcasts. And it's just so hard. It's so hard to write games, you guys. Writing games is hard. Writing game rules is hard. And this one would be like so long, and I would need to recruit so many other writers, and it's just like I don't have the project manager in me to do it right now. That's a big thing that I think like folks don't necessarily think about before they start really working on larger tabletop role-playing projects is the amount of project management required for producing a thing. It's a lot. So that's mine.
Yeah. So the thing is, I bring a lot of things up to the concept stage and then, like, wait on them for a long while, and then I come back to them. Like, hang on, I actually have something. This thing. This fucking thing. So this is the tool that I use for, like, where I am... Wait, this is done. This is the tool that I use for where I am on a game. And so, like, you know, it has a key, and it has, like, all this stuff, and you'll see most of these are, like, either not done with concept or done with concept and in development. And I kind of just, like, don't rush myself once they hit that second stage. And then, you know, once they hit, like, playtesting funding, that's when things get more... I think funding is where things get serious, I think. After that point, you're, you know, you got to get more serious with it. But I kind of give myself the leeway to kind of mull on a lot of ideas in this zone, because I think it's useful to do so. Yeah.
See, biotrification on there.
Yeah, we're getting there.
So excited.
We're working on it. Actually, I gotta look over some like last potentially layout things for that, and then figure out how I'm getting an ISBN, which will probably be a 24-hour wizard stream. People should keep an eye out for that.
If you ever have questions about ISBNs or anything, you can feel free to hit me up. They're not hard to get, I promise.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll definitely ask. Cool.
Shockingly cheap.
Yeah.
That's always the question.
Yeah. And then a question.
Oh, sorry.
We actually have two questions from Luna. First of all, Nick, would you eat the Lego ghost?
Yeah, listen, you wouldn't believe. Well, maybe you wouldn't. You wouldn't believe the things I'll put in my body.
Jesus Christ. Also, just kidding. What's everyone's favorite adventure?
Gotta go with Moby Dick on that one.
In general?
Yeah.
Oh man.
I don't play a lot of pre-written adventures or modules. I would say, I know. No question. Treasures of the Troll King for Morkport. Let me find a link for it real quick. It's by Chris Bissett, my beloved. It's so good, you guys.
Yeah.
It's about a place called Galgenbeck, which is a city built on the ruins of itself, and you're going under the sewers where the bones of the old city are, and the Troll King was exiled to. And it's so juicy and fun and good, and it's quick, it's dirty, it's icky, it's so good. It's so sepulchral. It's just, yeah, it's great. Also, describing a city as palimpsest, it's a fast track towards
take it from you.
towards getting me into it.
Yeah, it's a good name. Love a city named Palimpsest. I need to get that Lego ghost as like a little guy that I can have float around the screen. I'll work on that off stream. What is my favorite adventure? I am also not really a module head. My favorite adventure is Isle of Dr. Moreau by Ulysses Duckler. coming soon. You should well, actually you can't grab it anymore. You should grab it once it's like out and buyable. Because that's a sick ass game. That's what I'll say, because I think it's the most recent adventure that I've actually played. Yeah. Thank you too for being on, Sylvan and Nick. Is there anything else you want to direct folks towards before we wrap up here?
I'll just plug Before the Flood again, man. It's gonna be so good.
It's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be so awesome.
We've got so much good stuff coming in that campaign. We're gonna be making an announcement on Rascal News fairly soon. It's just, man, this game is good. The closer we get to launch, the more excited I am about this game. It started as a game that I really wasn't writing for anybody other than myself and Nick, and now I see the appeal.
Hell yeah. God, everybody's...
Yeah.
Oh, also, if anybody's going to the ALA conference this week, you can say hi to me, you can say hi to Nick, you can shake our hands or give us a hug, and maybe even get a little sneak peek at Before the Flood.
Yeah. You're gonna be there. You're gonna be masked up. I'm trying to quickly see what booth number we are. Off the top of my head, I think it's 218, but gang, that might have been the IPR Origins booth number, so don't hold me to that.
Watch out.
The page is loading. The ever-functional IPR website.
We will be near the gaming section, TM.
Yeah, 218 is correct. I got it. I'm so good at promotional stuff. But yeah, Before the Flood, I'm so deeply excited to get to show stuff off. We've been getting, the artwork and stuff for it. Which all
got a
looks
layout
so
mock-up and
good. Yeah, and the layout stuff. It looks like an actual game, guys.
Yo.
It's like a real game.
You know what?
It's so beautiful.
Eclipse, if you wanna give the give your stream a little exclusive sneak peek. That's the layout markup.
Oh yeah, let me put that on stream. Give this a look. Here we go. Ah, yes, that's the cursed dick image. Which is actually appropriate. It's just called that because it has references to some games. Okay. Yeah, give this look. Hang on. Wait, we're gonna put this higher. Put this higher in the stack. Look at that. That's awesome. That's so cool.
We're either going to be printing it on brown paper using white spot color and black ink, or we're going to be printing it on white paper with brown spot color and black ink. So it'll be really, really pretty, by the way.
Gorgeous. Hell yeah. Well, we are going to raid. Everybody is playing the Elden Ring DLC, and I don't really want to raid into that. We're going to raid Punky the Alien, who's playing Cobalt Core. Go say hi. Punky raided me recently, so I figure I may as well hand back the kindness. And yeah, everyone take care. Next week will be Nick Butler. So be ready for that, and take care, everyone. Bye.
Remember, if you don't like what you see, you can change it. It's up to you, really. Goodbye, good luck, and have fun!